The country music space has faced different highs, lows, and everything in between. Many country artists have drawn inspiration from their experiences and losses to fuel their creative endeavors. Some have found themselves facing serious consequences that have taken them out of the spotlight entirely. Others have lived long enough in the industry that their demise not only affected the family involved, but also the entire industry. From legal troubles that landed them behind bars to the tragic losses that left fans mourning. Here are 12 country music stars whose stories took a darker turn and left them either in jail or 6 feet under. Number 12, Melba Montgomery.
Same to you and all the wonderful folks out here. Got a great audience.
Do you play guitar?
A little, not a whole lot.
Melba Joyce Montgomery was born on October 14, 1938, in Iron City, Tennessee. She spent her childhood years in Alabama. She became one of country music's most iconic female singers, and her songwriting talent was unparalleled. Melba's career spanned over 5 decades, and her impact was undeniable. Her story began with her 2 brothers, Carl and Earl Montgomery. They were all placed in a talent contest and got the attention of Roy Acuff. Years later, Melba toured with different musical groups. In doing this, she was sharpening her skills. In the early 1960s, she entered a collaboration with George Jones that changed the trajectory of her career. They produced some memorable duets, such as We Must Have Been Out of Our Minds. This particular song peaked at number 3 on the Billboard Hot Country Singles chart in July 1963 and spent 23 weeks in the chart's top 40. George believed that they popularized male-female duets in country music. They seemed to create magic whenever they worked together.
Your latest #1 song, something to brag about, or was it
No, this was another one.
the question and answer song?
Yeah, that's it.
Beyond her work with Jones, Melba collaborated with Gene Pitney on the album Being Together in 1965. She later created 2 duet albums with Charlie Louvain in 1971. She had identified that she was capable of blending her voice perfectly with that of other male vocalists, and she milked that gift as often as she could. This did not mean that her solo career was hanging by a thread. She was equally spectacular performing solo. She had immense success with her 1974 song, No Charge. By 1986, she had 30 songs on country music's popularity charts. She worked herself to the core. She released around 26 albums. 17 were her solo projects, and 9 were duet collections. Putting out that amount of music was not just a matter of talent. She dedicated time and energy to her craft, and the evidence was clear for all to see. As she got older, she leaned more into songwriting. She recorded for artists like Patty Loveless, John Prine, Reba McEntire, Tracy Byrd, and more. She retired in 2015 after her husband, Jack Solomon, passed away. On the 15th of January, 2025, Melba passed away at a care facility in Nashville at the age of 86. Before her passing, she had suffered from dementia. Still, the family maintained a private demeanor to the public concerning the matriarch, who made duets and country music cooler than it looked. Number 11, Gavin Adcock.
They said I could play for free drinks, and I was like, no, I've kind of got a little bit of a following. It ain't much, but around here I got a following, so.
Before Gavin Adcock made it big in country music, but not before a long, tedious journey as a college football player, Gavin gained people's attention as a football player at Georgia Southern University. He was a promising athlete, and people believed that he would be one of the best in his field. However, during his college years, he began to exhibit signs of poor judgment. He got suspended from the football team after a video of him went viral. In the clip, he was drinking beer while he was on top of a moving bus. It was the kind of reckless behavior that he was associated with in the long run. His football career came to a screeching halt, and Gavin turned to other talents for his redemption. Transitioning to country was not so hard. All he had to do was present a certain kind of image and have the voice. His branding was focused on a non-conforming lifestyle, someone who took a gamble at life. This branding was both to his advantage and detriment. On the 21st of May, 2025, Gavin was arrested by the Tennessee Highway Patrol in Wilson County. The charges included reckless driving, quite unsurprisingly, and violation of open container laws. In layman's language, he was driving recklessly and also had an open container of alcohol in his hand, a killer combination. The arrest took place in Wilson County, Tennessee. The area was close to Nashville's country music scene, and it was a frequent place for incidents involving music stars. According to sources, the situation started from a mere traffic stop, where things escalated when officers found evidence of these violations. Gavin has publicly spoken on the incident and has shown remorse for his actions, but the charges he's facing are not minor issues. Reckless driving is a serious offense that can result in fines, license suspension, or even jail time. Hopefully, things change for the better in Gavin's case. Number 10. Felipe Silva. Felipe Silva was one half of the popular Brazilian country duo Felipe and Rafael. Unfortunately, he tragically passed away in July 2025, and it was a big shock to his Latin American fans. He was only 24 years old, and he seemed to be the next big sound from the Latino community. Felipe and Rafael gained popularity quickly in Brazil. Their songs delved into matters of the heart and rural life. Tragedy struck when Felipe Silva was involved in a truck accident while traveling through São Paulo state. According to reports on the news, he was in the passenger seat of a small vehicle when it collided with a large truck on the highway. An emergency team rushed to the scene as quickly as possible, but Felipe was already gone. Rafael and everyone else traveling in separate vehicles were not harmed, but the memory of that accident lingered in their minds for a long time. Fellow artists paid their tributes, and several vigils were held in his honor. Fans took their songs up the charts in memory of a young star who could have made legendary status. In the days following his demise, Rafael announced that he would be taking an indefinite hiatus from performing. He knew he wanted to continue performing in honor of his friend, but it was a difficult decision. It was tough moving straight out of grief and right in front of a stage in a couple of minutes. Continuing without Felipe was hard. Plans for their unfinished album are uncertain. Maybe it will never come. Number 9. Buck White. Buck White was born on the 13th of December, 1930. He had one of those grass-to-gray stories that made one believe anything was possible. Buck grew up in Oklahoma City and Texas. There, he started playing the piano and mandolin as a teenager. Right after high school, he performed in several honky-tonk country bands in the area. He was good at his craft, and bands would consistently reach out to him during the 1950s to work in dance halls and radio shows across the Southwest. In 1961, Buck was tired of being a honky-tonk musician and wanted to raise his family in a well-adjusted environment. He moved his wife, Pat, and their 2 daughters, Sharon and Cheryl, to Arkansas. Even though he had given up the honky-tonk lifestyle, he could not let go of his hunger to make music. He worked as a plumber by day and played the piano and mandolin at night. In only a few months, Buck and Pat formed a band with another couple. They named themselves the Down Home Folks. Sharon and Cheryl became drawn to music themselves. The children created a band called the Down Home Kids. They also had children of other band members in their group. With time, they started joining their parents for Bluegrass Festival appearances. The group changed their name from Down Home Folks and Down Home Children to the Whites eventually. This group was officially formed in 1972. The Whites had Buck on a mandolin, Sharon on a guitar, and Cheryl on bass. They became highly successful because their sound was unique and distinct from the rest. They recorded multiple albums and charted numerous songs on the Billboard Hot Country Songs chart throughout their career. Buck even received a Grammy recognition for his contributions to country music. He was not a big fan of the spotlight. He tried to focus on the music and keep the glitz and glam behind. Unfortunately, on January 13, 2025, Buck White passed away peacefully at his home in Hendersonville, Tennessee. It felt significant because that same day was his 94th birthday. Number 8. Sherry Bryce. Sherry was born on the 28th of May, 1946, in Duncanville, Alabama. Her musical talent grew at a young age. She began performing locally and eventually found her way to Nashville, showcasing her abilities. She had her big break in the early 1970s. She was paired with Mel Tillis, a country music legend at the time, and they recorded several duets together. Some of the songs got released, and they were instant hits. Their most successful song was Take My Hand, which reached the top 10 in 1971. Their voices complemented each other so well, one would think they were born to sing together. Between 1971 and 1976, they created a lot of good music together. They went on tours and made multiple television appearances. Sherry might have been a big hit with Mel Tillis, but on her own, she was a struggling artist. She released a few solo singles and one solo album under MGM Records, but none of them received the kind of attention that her collaborations did. No one could point out why it was that way. This did not deter her anyway. She continued performing and making music. Later in her life, she moved away from the fame that came with being a charting artist. She lived a private life, gave very few interviews, and stopped making public appearances. She passed away on the 26th of May, 2025, at the age of 78. She may not have become a household name, but she had left her mark on the industry. Number 7, Chad Morgan. Chad Morgan was born as Chadwick William Morgan on the 11th of February 1933 in Wandai, Queensland. His fame started early on with talent contests and local performances. He created a trademark performance look for himself. He had buck teeth and a nasal twang. He would make exaggerated facial expressions on stage, and all of this was easily recognizable when it came to the stage. His song, The Sheik of Scrubby Creek, became his breakout hit in 1952. The bigger the song got, the more it pushed the narrative of Chad being a bushman with a penchant for causing trouble. His comedic personality, combined with his talent, made him an artist whose projects people eagerly anticipated. He released album after album and appeared at many major festivals, including the Tamworth Country Music Festival. He was just the right kind of inspiration for fellow Australians. He was inducted into the Australian Roll of Renown in 1987 and then the Order of Australia Medal in 2004. He made a significant impact, so he got substantial accolades. He was a pioneer in all he did. Unfortunately, Morgan passed away on New Year's Day, 2025. He was said to have passed away peacefully at his home in Queensland. He was with the people who love him the most, his family. In his final year, he gave interviews and performed at several events. He would often talk about how surprised he was by his fame and how much people loved him. Number 6, Dick Damron.
But I certainly wrote my share of crying in the beer songs.
Dick Damron was born as Joseph Glenn Damron on the 22nd of March, 1934. He was raised in Bentley, Alberta, and was inspired by the area. He was into ranching, rodeo, and all the perks of the Western lifestyle. He began writing songs as a teenager, and his experiences during that time in the West informed most of his songs as a young man. By the early 1960s, he was well on his way to becoming a rising star in Canada's country music scene. What made his sound different? He was making real, traditional country music. He would embrace the new elements in country music, such as outlaw, honky-tonk, and the rest. His songs include Country-Fied, Risey and Shebe, and Jesus' It's Coming. When he finally transitioned from traditional country to outlaw, he made a significant impact. Regardless of his influence, he never forgot his roots. He always assisted up-and-coming country artists in Canada. He released more than 30 albums throughout his career and wrote over 500 songs. They say heavy is the head that wears the crown. This was one of those situations. Damron had issues that he was dealing with. He struggled with alcoholism and financial hardship, as unbelievable as it sounded. His music was his healing and economic benefactor. In recognition of his contributions, Damron was inducted into the Canadian Country Music Hall of Fame in 1994. He also received multiple awards throughout his career, including SOCAN's Lifetime Achievement. He loved performing at small-town festival shows. Fans not only loved him, they respected him. He eventually passed away on the 29th of March, 2025, aged 91. His music has a special place in Canadian history. Number 5, Billy Earheart. Billy entered the world in the early 1950s in the American South. He was born in a time when music genres were expanding and shifting. R&B, rock and roll, and even gospel songs were making it big in music at the time. He started playing the organ and electric piano. This was when he discovered that he had something worth chasing. In the 1970s, Billy co-founded the Amazing Rhythm Aces. It was a band that infused country music with other elements, such as blues and rock. Their song Third Rate Romance was released in 1975, and it propelled them into national fame almost immediately. The band earned a Grammy Award in 1976 for Best Country Vocal Performance by a group for their song The End Is Not in Sight, the cowboy tune. This was the acknowledgement they needed to know they were on the right path. Billy also joined Hank Williams Jr.'s band. For more than 2 decades, they toured and recorded soulful music in various stadiums and honky-tonks around America. Together, they made country outlaw music a popular sound in the country music scene. Despite his musical accomplishments, Billy Earheart maintained a low-key public profile. He was not much of a social butterfly. He dedicated his time to making good music and did not believe in making too much noise about his work. The work spoke for itself. In his later years, Billy continued to perform occasionally and remained active in music circles in Nashville and Memphis. He was fanned on by his fellow artists whenever he made an appearance, and die-hard fans of Southern music knew he was a legend. He passed away on the 13th of May, 2025. His demise was announced by his close friends and fellow musicians. There was no specific cause, but it was reported that he passed away peacefully and with his family. He had lived a fulfilling life. Number 4. Laura Vinson. Laura Vinson was born on the 23rd of May, 1947, in Edmonton, Alberta, and grew up in the small town of Brulé, near Jasper National Park. Her family heritage was a rich blend of Cree, Iroquois, Cherokee, French, and English, and she was a direct descendant of Tête Jaune, a fur trader who played a significant role in shaping early Canadian history. As a child, she spent time riding horses, fishing, and camping in the Rocky Mountains, which deeply influenced her love for nature and storytelling. Before music took center stage, Laura studied art and drama at the University of Alberta, earning a degree in education. She started out singing folk music with Bob Ruzicka and later joined a rock band called Bittersweet. In 1973, she shifted to country music with her band Red Wing and quickly found success with songs like Sweet Mountain Music and Mes Amis au Canada. Laura's music career spanned over 45 years. She toured across Canada and Europe, appeared on national TV shows, and earned 6 Juno Award nominations. In the late 1980s, she began focusing on Indigenous music, forming the band Free Spirit and creating shows that blended traditional Native sounds with modern performance. Her album, Voices on the Wind, became the centerpiece of a theatrical production that toured globally. She passed away on the 17th of July, 2025, at the age of 78. Her family described her as a gifted artist, a Métis elder, and a mentor who lived fully and left with no regrets, except for leaving her partner Dave. Her legacy endures in the music she created and the stories she shared. Number 3, Johnny Rodriguez.
Because that's what I first started singing when I was a little kid, about that tall. Everybody named me in my hometown, El Charro.
Johnny Rodriguez was born on the 10th of December, 1951. He was raised in Sabinal, Texas, in a big Mexican-American family. His big break came in a very unconventional way. Johnny Rodriguez was discovered by Tom T. Hall and Bobby Bare in 1971 while performing at Alamo Village, a local tourist attraction in Texas. He was working as a singing stagecoach driver. He had previously been introduced to music promoter Happy Sean by Texas Ranger Joaquin Jackson. Joaquin heard him sing in jail and decided to offer him the job at Alamo Village. It was during this time that Tom and Bear stumbled upon Johnny's talent. They were impressed and encouraged him to pursue a music career in Nashville, Tennessee. With just a guitar and $14 to his name, Johnny made the trip to Nashville. Tom T. Hall took Rodriguez to Mercury Records, where he auditioned with songs I Can't Stop Loving You and If I Left It Up to You. Everyone could see he had immense talent. This is how he secured a record deal and began a very successful music career. By the age of 21, he had become the first major Mexican-American country singer to achieve mainstream success. His debut single, Pass Me By, If You're Only Passing Through, hit the top 10, and he followed it with several #1 hits like You Always Come Back, Too Hurting Me, Riding My Thumb to Mexico, and That's the Way Love Goes. Johnny's ethnicity might have distinguished him from his colleagues in country music, but what made his sound even more distinctive was the way he blended English and Spanish in his songs. This set the tone for other Latino artists who tried to make it big in Hollywood or the country scene. Despite his success, Johnny faced many personal and professional challenges throughout his life. In the 1980s and 1990s, his career began to hit a downward spiral. He was struggling with substance misuse and legal troubles. One notable incident was an aggravated robbery charge in 2017. The specifics of this case were not publicized. According to court records, he was found guilty of aggravated mistreatment. This charge meant 25 years in prison. Somehow, he escaped that sentence. In 2009, Johnny was charged with being a felon in possession of a weapon. He pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 180 months in prison under the Armed Career Criminal Act. This wasn't his first trouble with the law related to violence. In 1998, he was charged with murder after shooting an acquaintance at his home. He claimed that he was defending himself. The charges were eventually reduced to negligent homicide. He was convicted of delivering cocaine to a minor. He received a 60-year prison sentence and a $10,000 fine. Johnny was sort of a rebel. He always found himself on the wrong side of the law. In 2004, he was arrested for driving under the influence. These legal issues have impacted his career and public image. However, he refused to let his character flaw define him. He remained active in music and performed across the US and Latin America. He released more albums in the 2000s. In his later years, Johnny focused more on touring and mentoring younger artists. For his contributions to country music, he was inducted into the Texas Country Music Hall of Fame. Johnny Rodriguez passed away on the 9th of May, 2025, at the age of 73. Although the cause of demise was not immediately released, sources close to the family suggested it was due to natural causes after years of declining health. His demise moved the country industry. A free-born rebel had moved to the greater beyond. Number 2, Morgan Wallen. Morgan Wallen has always been a voice in the country music scene that could barely be shut down. He found himself at the center of controversy when he threw a chair off a 6-story rooftop at Eric Church's bar, popularly called Chief's. The chair narrowly missed 2 police officers standing on the ground, resulting in multiple charges, including 3 counts of reckless endangerment and a misdemeanor for disorderly conduct. He had made numerous comebacks from previous scandals. Men in the country scene were easily forgivable. One of his popular controversies was in 2021 when he was caught on video using a racial slur outside his Nashville home. The video sparked outrage, and he faced backlash from the music industry and his fans. As a result, he was suspended from his record label, Big Loud Records, and his music was removed from radio stations and streaming platforms. Actions had consequences, and even Morgan Wallen was not an exception. He publicly apologized for his actions. He claimed to be deeply sorry and acknowledged the hurt his words had caused. Many felt like the apology only came because his music was affected. He also took time off to reflect on his behavior. Despite the controversy, Wallen continued to release music and perform. This second chance might have been freely handed out, but he had not learned his lesson. In late 2024, Morgan entered a conditional guilty plea under Tennessee's judicial diversion statute. This legal arrangement allowed him to avoid a permanent criminal conviction if he followed court-mandated conditions. His sentence included a week at a DUI education center, 2 years of probation, 1 year for each misdemeanor, and a monetary fine, along with court fees. If he successfully completes the terms of his probation, he will be eligible for dismissal and will eventually be released from all charges against him. In simpler terms, he would be offered another clean slate. The arrest was a moment of reckoning for Morgan. His career has been marked with as much success as with controversy. After the incident, fellow country artist Eric Church confirmed that Morgan had personally reached out to apologize. He also visited the bar to speak with the staff. By early 2025, he was beginning to show signs of someone who had truly changed. In an interview, he revealed that he had not entered a bar since the arrest. He explained that both his family and fans were closely observing every move he made. It was overwhelming, and it made him more cautious. Instead of drinking and going out, he said he now preferred the solitude and mental clarity that came with spending time outdoors. He had grown an avid interest in hunting. Despite the legal issues, his music has remained largely unaffected. In March 2025, he was a musical guest on Saturday Night Live to promote his new album, I'm the Problem. He left the set as hurriedly as he came after his performance and did not participate in the traditional farewell with the cast and crew. Maybe staying longer would have given him a reason to fall into old habits again, but one thing was for sure: those controversies had made a permanent mark. Number 1, Helen Cornelius. She was born on the 6th of December, 1941, in Monroe City, Missouri. She grew up in a family that appreciated good music. As a result, they supported her dreams. Soon enough, she was performing. She grew into a very talented singer and songwriter. When she collaborated with Jim Ed Brown in the mid-1970s, she finally gained some popularity. Their first album was released in 1976. It was titled, I Don't Want to Have to Marry You. It rose to number 1 on the Billboard Country chart and gave Helen wide recognition. Helen and Jim Ed realized they were sitting on a gold mine and decided to exploit it. They released more singles and albums together through the late 1970s and early 1980s. They won CMA Vocal Duo of the Year in 1977. Their music together felt like fine honey for the ears. Although they stopped recording together, Helen kept touring and performing. She made other collaborations and remained a steady face in country entertainment. She eventually passed away on the 18th of July, 2025. She was 83 when she passed. Her death was confirmed by family members. They said that she passed away peacefully in her Missouri home. There was no official cause, and she had been dealing with age-related health issues in the past couple of years. Tributes poured in their numbers. Other country celebrities expressed their sadness at the loss of a great legend like Helen Cornelius. What are your thoughts on these country stars? Share in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Before you go, watch the other videos on your screen.